Good evening. Welcome to Conspiracy Cafe. I'm your host, George Freund. We're with you now. We're with you to the end. We hope the end will be a long, long, long time away, but some people working in the code room are coming up with dates like 6/21 and 6/22, which isn't very long away, especially when they're attached to a 13. But we're hoping by blowing a big whistle on that, should have had a prop to blow a big whistle and cause a stall in the action while the referees assess the penalties against the people of the New World Order, but we'll see how that goes. That's why Conspiracy Cafe is the point of the sword, the one and only, here at that channel in downtown Toronto, because nobody else takes the bull by the horns and rides it to the bitter end. Lots of big changes happening even as I walk down here this evening. Of course, one of the big changes is in Afghanistan. Now today, well, it's probably yesterday over there, but that was the day that Afghanistan takes over responsibility for its own security. So what that really means is the CIA is going to paint an Afghani flag on all the drones that they use. So that way it appears that the Afghanis are in charge of their own security. Just probably like they do in Pakistan. They're responsible for their own security, but lots of things fall out of the sky on a regular basis. One of the great propagandists of all times was Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister in Nazi Germany. See, we think we don't have a propaganda minister here in the so-called free and democratic nations of the world, but we do. We just contracted the work out as we privatized one of the first ministries, the Ministry of Truth. We privatized it to PR firms, and they tell us what to think. And our good buddy Joseph Goebbels said, "It is the absolute right of the state to supervise the information of public opinion." And of course, it is the absolute right of we the people to rub salt in their eyes over that, because we understand what it means. When we look to our leaders to think that somehow they represent us, so they're looking after our better interests, they too studied under Joseph Goebbels in the Ministry of Truth. They know full well what they're doing and why they're doing it. We live in a deception that is beyond belief. I was talking to a lady today at work, and you just say that generally the world is like a one-dimensional world to most people. That's all they understand is what goes in here and what comes out there, and they have no more understanding. A well-trained pet probably has more understanding, but they are sentient human beings and part of the equation. And then there's a step up to the two-dimensional world, and people read the newspapers and accept this propaganda that we're given and think that's all there is to the world, and that they're fully informed because they've been lied to by the best, the tag team match of the government and the corporate media, and now they're fully informed and follow along like lapdogs. Then there's people that rise up to the third dimension, and that might be something like alternative news to say, there's like secret societies and groups that control the stage and manage all the news, manage all our leaders, manage the events in the world for a small cabal of secret societies. That's like the third dimension. So you see alternative media primarily focusing on that. The Alex Joneses and Genesis Network shows, perhaps, and some of the other independent media from here to there. And that's as far as they can go. But you see, we go further, we go into the fourth dimension, and we master in there. We realize that these foes communicate in ways that are under the radar, easily seen and visible to them, but invisible to everybody else. So they would look at us as a tinfoil hat society, because we're a dimension higher. And we can see down to that third dimension and see how the playbook is operated to control them by their masters in the fourth dimension. And that will be the substance of a little bit of what we do in breaking these codes. The predictive programming, the Google Doodles, things like that. That's in the fourth dimension. And as we start to master this fourth dimension, we have to anticipate and expect and be prepared for something even higher than that, a fifth dimension. where certain strings are pulled, and we can get in there to argue about. And our leaders are just masters of the second dimension. And that's why they can't solve any of our problems, because they have no concept of what's at the top of the mountain. They don't even realize, to an extent, how great the mountain is. They're just happy to lap up the money in the second dimension and pocket it. Joseph Goebbels also said, we enter Parliament in order to supply ourselves in the arsenal of democracy with its own weapons. If democracy is so stupid as to give us free tickets and salaries for this bear's work, that is its affair. We do not come as friends, nor even as neutrals. We come as enemies. As the wolf bursts into the flock, so we come. And the fools we are, even though this is written and codified in the propaganda network matrix since way back. My grandfather would have been a baby in those days. We give them the keys to the store and let them burst in among the flock and lay waste to us. And when someone realizes this and complains or points it out, we're ridiculed and laughed at, when this is just the playbook of the dictator. And we see the nation states that used to be living with a better illusion of freedom falling by the wayside because of it. Another thing he said is, if you call one wolf, you invite the whole pack. And we called many wolves after World War II, the Nazis, and we let them into the Western nations, specifically in America with Operation Paperclip, the Galen Organization and such. We invited many wolves. We had to get the whole pack. And that's why America is slowly turning, if not even slowly, maybe quickly turning to the neo-fascist state, the living reincarnation of the Third Reich, now manifesting as the Fourth Reich. You listen to Obama on the news tonight talking how he justified all this spying. Like, do we have to give our heads a shake? Justifying all the spying. It's okay. The NSA wasn't listening to your phone calls. That wasn't it. Well, what the hell were they doing? Like, how do you find anything out if you're not listening? Hey, Abdul, pick up the truck with the explosives and be... If you don't listen to that part, you got nothing, baby. Just because Mohammed calls Abdul, that doesn't mean crap. You got to know what he's talking about. Yeah, get some more falafel. Okay, well, we got to tell the difference between falafel and Semtex. You got to listen to the call. What do you think we are, stupid? 2 O's, S-T-O-O-P-I-D. Goebbels said it too, but he used the regular stupid. Stupid. You believe that? They've been spying on all our conversations for years. They had a program. See, he was telling the truth. The NSA isn't spying on you. See, they have a deal with England, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United States. So Canada doesn't spy on us. Australia, New Zealand, United States, and England spy on us. We spy on the United States with Australia, England, and New Zealand, and then give them the information. So he can truthfully come up, put his hand on the Bible or the Quran, and say, we didn't do it. But they set up a program where everybody else is doing it for you, and then they report it back to you. So technically you can stand there in Congress and say, we don't have a spying program. We got Mikey to do it. We just get the information later. So they're still tapping into all your calls, just with a different operator. So the nerve that he has, and then they come out and say, we stopped 50, count them, 50 terror attacks with this surveillance program. But we can't tell you what they are because it's all classified. Okay, you're a liar, you're a cheat, you're a killer, and I'm supposed to believe you? And where'd all the money go that you're stealing? But honest. We stopped 50 terror attacks that we can't tell. But there was one terror attack that you didn't stop, 9/11. Don't have that one at my fingertips. Maybe I can find it quickly, where, Senator Graham was on this 9/11 commission, and he says, they knew what was going on in Florida, and nobody did anything about it. The number 2 man in the FBI knew all about it. And they didn't even tell it to the 9/11 commission. I wonder why. Well, there must be a reason for it, obviously, because if we found out, we know that if they didn't do it, they were behind it. But we'll get to it in order as it comes, if it comes. So Obama justifies this by saying, you see, everything I did was legal. I'm not like Bush. Bush did illegal. I did legal because we went to a secret court. That's worse than spying. What do we get to do about a secret court? We don't know who it is. We don't know what it's about. There's no reporting. There's no place to appeal. It's just a secret court. It's called a star chamber. It's the Inquisition. It's worse than spying. At least with spying, I know what I said. You got copies of it too, so what? But with a secret court, nobody knows anything. It's a star chamber. It's worse. And the man stands before the world and his own people, if they are his own people, because his own people are in Africa. He's not an American citizen anyway, or an American-born. He's the living embodiment of Adolf Hitler, made to establish the Fourth Reich. And he's doing a good job at it, because you let the wolf burst into the flock and gave them the arsenals of democracy to use against you. And they get paid for it. Why? Because you're stupid. It's like I've said many, many times before too. You can wake up before you get on the train. You can wake up on the train. You can wake up before you get into camp. You can wake up before you get in the shower room. After you get in the shower room and they close the door, it's too late to wake up. That's why they're collecting 30, 40 million names. Those are the American patriots, the constitutionalists, the people who really believe in the republic. You're going to be eliminated. Why? Because you let the wolf burst in among the flock. They're going to kill you, everyone you know, and your children. They've done it before. My grandfather told me, see, in Canada, we used to have a saying, at least in Ontario, BA, been to Aylmer, that's the police college. In geopolitics history, it's BA, been to Auschwitz. So you know, our family went there. They got killed. We know how the game's played. My grandfather always said the biggest weakness, the biggest mistake they ever made was they never thought it could happen to them. Learning curve just skyrockets. Ooh, sorry, mein Führer. Learning curve just skyrockets when you're in the shower room. But we haven't got on the train yet. There's still time. We can change the course of destiny. Anyway, Operation Prism. We put that on our website. We show, there's an echo in here. There we go. See, the NSA was listening and they phoned Hugh and they told him to put that up there for me. Art imitates life. So this is an art piece called The Listening Post, where they show all internet communications so that people can watch this in the gallery, and it constantly changes. So even just to keep up with that few dozens of little screens would take quite a lot. Multiply that by 1 billion. How are you ever going to know or monitor all this stuff? No human being can go through all that stuff. Can't be done. So what they're telling us is basically a lie. Collecting everything means nothing. If you have too much of it, if I've got 10 paintings, I can admire some of them. If I've got 100, I can probably get through it. Say I had 10 million paintings. I could never see them all in my lifetime and enjoy them. There's too many. I'd be drowning in it. 1 beer could be fine. 1 billion beers, I'm dead. So there's no sense. So by having everything, you can't really monitor this terror. It's a lie. They hired the head of the Stasi, Markus Wolf. Wolf loose among the flock. Remember that? So he came in to work for the Department of Homeland Security. What was his purpose? To spy on all you. It's a great German movie. I got to find a copy with subtitles. I found a full copy of the movie in German where it shows the surveillance society in East Germany that Wolf ran with the Stasi. It's horrendous. The whole concept of this, the Homeland Security, is the new Gestapo. When we factor in the escape of Adolf Hitler to Indonesia, the rise of Obama through his mother from Indonesia, the fact that, I watched this National Geographic video that we have on our website, conspiracy-cafe.com.org.net, saying that it was Hitler's Woody to bring down the towers in New York. The grandson of the man who put Hitler in power brings down the towers in New York. What a coincidence. But the wolf burst in among the flock because they were stupid. The Germans are very smart, very cunning. They're playing at a level that most people couldn't anticipate if they had 20 to 30 years to study. But it's like I say many, many times before. The world moves at the speed of the predator, not the prey. You're the prey. It just eats. You'll catch up as you go through the intestines and come out its ass. And then you just figure, boy, it smells down here. Ooh, I'm gone. I think I just figured it out. I was swallowed. It's too late. They were working on that plane, the supersonic stealth bomber, so that they could bomb New York with a nuclear weapon. A U-boat came to New York, loaded with the materials, U-234. It brought the stuff to finish off the Manhattan Project. Well, that was Hitler's plan. Hitler wanted to nuke Manhattan with this plane. With this plane. With this plane. With this plane. There we go, that plane. And the end result was to be this. Even put in predictive programming. Hiroshima, USA, Collier's Magazine. The Brooklyn Bridge, destroyed. Great book. You got to read that. And of course, Operation Prism. This is the prisms from the periscope of U-234. They see all, they know all. They understand. This is the revenge. The Fesselspringen plan, breaking the chains of our enthrallment, to infiltrate the West, to turn it upside down and build the Fourth Reich and a world global fascist government. Agent 99 and I have been watching this series, Hitler's Bodyguards. It's a 13-part series. It's on YouTube. Highly recommend it. You watch the creation of the super police state from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and you almost swear you're looking at the 90s into the next century to now with the fake terror plots, the panic, the fear, the creation of the police state. The times are changed, but the plan is still the same. Nothing's really changed out of the whole deal. Why? Because we're stupid. We don't know our history. And we're going to pay for that one day. We're going to pay for that very, very dearly. That bothers me, but there isn't a whole lot I can do about it except report it, report it, and report it. I just have to hope on the fact that not everybody's stupid, and we start to catch on. The codes that come through for this weekend are disturbing because they come from two different sources. Veterans Today, compliments of Comrade Hugh, did a predictive programming analysis of TV shows. I don't watch TV much, so I wasn't an expert on that. I broke the Google Doodle on the same matter, and we came to the same result. And that's scary. So this image from numerous TV shows produced prior to 2000 and September 2001 feature the numbers of 9 and 11. And we get into specifically The Simpsons, Series 9, Episode 1. New York 9/11 focuses on the Twin Towers, where they were telling us already in the predictive programming that this was coming. In another show in 2010 they called To Surveil with Love. Gotta love that one. They had a nuclear bomb blast, which was supposed to happen in something called the Simpsons Doomsday Clock in codes 9/11/01 and 6/22/12. Where you have the big surveillance eye taking over Britain after they do their dirty work. Well, part of this setup is the fact that they were going to try to pull this off through the Olympics. A lot of alternative media, including this one, brought this to the forefront. A lot of the numbers that are associated with this article keep coming up over and over again with 62212, but of course they didn't get away with it then, so now it's 62213, 62113. It's coming up over and over and over again. We see this in this superpower long shot ticket. The 3192269 converts with numerology into 62213. This ticket here, again, comes up with Satan, Valhalla Airways. They take us away. It's a great article. Even the beer glasses, all lined up. You have so many beer glasses in front, a 6, a 4, 3 guys on one side, one here for a 13. That they're telling us again through predictive programming that they're going to give it to us. So there's 2 sets of 2 glasses and people. Above it a 22, claiming a 622 toast. Congratulations. We succeeded. This card, a fake bank card for Marjorie Simpson, same thing, comes up with the same 21, 6, and 13 when we play with the numbers. Some of the TV shows that I don't watch, in a way that doesn't help us any. One is called Defiance, the other one's called Revolution, also come up over and over again with the 62213 references in many of the past shows. Revolution contains a full 62213 U.S. coup plot like Jericho, nuclear bombs, an EMP-like attack, a bioweapon, a civil war, Obama's domestic drones, over and over and over again. So when they say in the show domestic phones, they say think domestic drones. There's a movie premiere coming up on 6/21 as well, World War Z. As we did in previous shows quite some time back, we found a clip from Get Smart from the early 60s, or the mid-60s, whatever, but when they were breaking the ground on the World Trade Center about how they were going to put explosives, prepackaged explosives, in a skyscraper in New York and bring it down. So where people talk about a plot like Jericho, in those days, the construction company building this property was called Jericho Construction. Very, very interesting stuff, to say the least. The joys of us is frequently we say the most. And one of the most was the Father's Day Google Doodle. First, when I saw it, it was overwhelming. You just wonder how exactly to interpret it. But then slowly over time, you just get down to basics and do stuff. The go, the operation is a go. It involves a diamond. You see this thing pop out. It's like a baseball field. You see the flash of all these different fathers and different things to do. The E in the diamond, another diamond. E possibly for an electron, some sort of isotope. But frequently the most common one that stopped was the one with the baseball player. So we see a baseball player, a diamond, and we start to wonder what could be happening here. The Twilight language cannot lie. If the universe is a hologram, then everything is encoded in everything else. You just have to have the ability to read it. We've read many things many times on many plots, but Father's Day is based on this gentleman here, William Jackson Smart. He fought in the U.S. Civil War, so we see the potential of a civil war. He was recruited in the South in Fayetteville, Arkansas, but he fought with the Unionists even though that was part of the South. He was organized in Little Rock. Fayetteville was burned by Union forces. In 1863, he fought Confederate guerrillas, and maybe there's some scenario where they're going to be fighting states' rights activists, guerrillas in the near future. They tried to push into Texas. Their way was blocked. They didn't make it. Texas is still the stronghold of the Constitutionalists. They lie to us to say the World War was fought over slavery. That was not true. Abraham Lincoln said very, very clearly, I care not whether the Negro is free or bond. I only care about the Union. If I save the Union by freeing the Negro, I'll free them. If I do not, I will not. He said it nicer than I did. I'm just paraphrasing. So in this image, we see the blow up. There's mountains in the background, typical small town looking little street of some sort or another. But part of the numerology clue was in the number of children that Smart had. He had 5 children with his first wife. 1 died, leaving 4. He was stepfather to 3 other children with his second wife. Through her, they had 6 children. 4 times 3 is 12, 21 in reverse. The 6 from the second marriage tell us a date, June 21st. We turn on the TV, and we see that our boys over here are coming up, as we've shown from the Veterans Today article, which is linked on the website. 621 and 622 are coming up. We pegged on the Batman film with the Sandy Hook map. Revolution, the show contains all these images and the dates. And then while we were looking for where Mr. Smart went to, he went by train as the railroad opened up to Washington State, specifically to Wilbur, Washington. Not a really big town. One of the big, most famous things that happened in Wilbur, Washington was this crop circle appeared last year. Most people look at it and think of space. I look at it slightly different. I'm looking at, we're on the bottom, we have to look up to space. The people in space are looking down at the bottom. They're leaving us a message about us, not about them. I see the 3 fields here, the orbits, 3 electrons, which is a less popular nuclear symbol. We also see the 3 big fields also representing the biohazard field. And those are things that are in the plots for the future. WMD stuff. Just as a little aside, one of our big coups was reading the predictive programming in the Toronto Star, a Sunday edition, where they showed an explosion, a man getting blown up, the security being taken away from a building in a typical street in Toronto. I was very lucky to find a digital copy of the whole front page, so that's a keeper for me. That was the first weekend after the 7/7 bombing in London. I'd say it was in poor taste to show your own town being blown up on the front page of Canada's most popular newspaper. But there was a reason for that. They were telling everybody, we're going to blow you up. Why? Because you're stupid and you think we can't do it. And when we do it, we'll blame it on Mohammed and Abdul and whoever else we set up as patsies, and you'll fall for it. You'll give us your freedom, you'll give us your money, and you'll send your children to a war we're going to arrange for our own profit to be slaughtered. And if you're lucky, they'll come home emotionally destroyed and shattered or crippled. But that's your tough luck. Then there's a baseball team called the Isotopes. Actually, they're a punk rock band. They did a song called Blood Diamond. And there may be some blood on the diamond. The nearest town that has a baseball team to Wilbur of any substance is Spokane, and that's mentioned in the bios on Sergeant Smart. The biggest city outside of Wilbur is Spokane in his day, and that's part of the clue. There's a team that plays there. Let's see if I can get me a nice little page here. And that team is called the Spokane Indians. And I'm informed by locals out there that their colors are red and white, pretty much like the Google Doodle. We go to their official website and we look at the coming games. They're going to be away in Vancouver the next couple of days. So let's get ahead to our days. 1920, they're back in town Thursday. Friday the 21st is bingo night. It's usually a good target thing, but it's the 622 we were interested in. It's fireworks night. So a lot of explosives are going to be brought into the stadium. A great cover. Will that be the day? I don't know for sure. Don't know if we got the right city. There are drills going on. The Pierce County Sheriff's Department is doing a big drill. It's called 2 Co-op TTX. And that co-op stands for Continuity of Operations Tabletop Exercise. So let's get Pierce County, Washington Emergency Services up here. Hey, they got their soldiers all ready to go. The 3-year exercise plan. Every month they're doing co-op. Pierce is a little bit further away, but they're in the hood. Local police were doing training exercises, practicing shoot-em-ups. The Milton Police participated in a training drill in Pierce County with the state police at the Puyallup Fairgrounds in May of this year. We got a picture of the boys there? See if I can get a bigger one for you. There we go. Just having a little fun doing our training exercise so we can practice the big roundup. We could be in a lot of trouble with this, and I'd hate to see that happen. But not to be outdone, we have our friends at the LAPD. We're doing a massive drill when the Department of Homeland Security came by to visit. It's just like, maybe in some of the Illuminati forums, you have the child sacrifice just to satisfy the evil gods. Well, when the DHS comes, you have to have a big terror drill, a WMD. See, it's one thing Obama can't say. He can't say WMD. When you say WMD, I get scared, real scared, especially when it's coming from somebody who's dumb, reads a children's book upside down on 9/11. Obama has to learn that word, WMD. Once you say WMD, all the unidimensional and two-dimensional people just fall in line. So let's click this on and see what our CBS affiliate in LA says about this. Let me get my big screen here, full screen. There we go.
A realistic drill to show how the department will respond to a weapon of mass destruction. KCAL 9's Dave Lopez live. He's going to give us a look at that exercise. Hi, Dave.
Well, how you doing, Sandra? Standing on the corner here on Figueroa between 5th and 4th, almost back to normal. Over my right shoulder, you can see the entrance of the Westin Bonaventure. A lot of police activity still behind me. This was all part of a terrorist convention, I should say an anti-terrorist convention. People who are experts at preventing terrorist acts met here. They came from all over the world, nearly 1,000 of them, we were told, at the Bonaventure. And this was the culmination of that, of their stay here. The scenario you're about to see, terrorists have struck in front of the Bonaventure Hotel. A bomb goes off, a man and woman are walking away. All of a sudden, there is shooting. Police arrive, helicopters flying in. This is the reaction that the LAPD and all the other law enforcement agencies hope would be happening within an hour if such a thing happened. You're about to take a look at a demonstration.
On the screen, it's 12:09, 74 degrees, and it's channel 9. Okay, 7 and 4 is 11. It's 9/11. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. It's a simulation. Or is it? Okay, give them the gunfire.
They will be opening Figueroa in front of the hotel in just a couple of minutes. They had a large screen so that all of the convention goers had a good view of what was going on. In case you didn't quite realize what the shooting from the helicopter. Those are sniper helicopters that the LAPD has, where the snipers are on a platform. They were firing at terrorists who were on one of the bridges right behind me, the bridge that leads to the hotel. All very realistic, hopefully something that never has to come to fruition in Southern California. The chief had a bird's eye view of this, as did the sheriff of LA, Lee Baca. They both had comments to make. All in all, they were very pleased with what they saw. If this were to happen in real life, we are told, all the activity you saw would have been in place within 45 minutes of the actual attack. Reporting live from downtown Los Angeles, Dave Lopez, KCON 9 News.
Okay. Perfect. So that's quite the thing. I didn't know that happened. I missed that one. It's a shame we didn't have somebody in California telling us about some of these things, or maybe they just didn't publicize it too much. That happens a lot. But that's all right. We're on the game plan. We're ready. Hopefully nothing happens. Say your prayers, rabbits. Pray for protection. Pray for understanding. Pray for people that elevate, at least into the third dimension. But let's start training a lot of the people in the third dimension to aspire to the fourth. Because a lot of people are stuck there, even though they know a lot of the truth. U.S. and Syria crossing chemical red line. So Obama administration says that they decided this, so they're going to supply arms to the rebels who are really Al-Qaeda. They said that they've used these chemical weapons. Putin at the G8 says, no, they did not. Somebody's lying. John McCain, we should always say the traitor, John McCain, when we talk about a lot of these people, because they are traitors to the Republic. In a joint statement with the traitor, Senator Lindsey Graham, are vocal critics of the president's policy because they want to give these guys bigger and better weapons. Because they're really Al-Qaeda. Now we were at war with Al-Qaeda. I thought giving aid and comfort to the enemy was like a Guantanamo offense. Why are our leaders fighting Al-Qaeda and arming Al-Qaeda? Maybe because Al-Qaeda is working for them. Former president, the traitor Bill Clinton, condones what the traitor McCain has to say. He says, we are not giving the military support that these people need and are entitled to. He said 100 to 150 people have died from chemical weapons in Syria to date, which were probably given to the rebels to spread around and make it look like Assad's forces did it, because truth is the first casualty in war. It always has been. Great book, too, by the way. So 100 to 150 people were killed by these chemical weapons, but nobody gives a rat's ass really about the 93,000 that were killed with all the other conventional weapons that are okay. So give me your children to blow up or shoot or stab or bayonet, burn alive, rape, sodomize to death, and that's okay. Just don't use poison gas. Because we don't want them to die too quickly, eh? So Obama says Assad must go. Maybe he's really born in Syria, and he's a Syrian citizen, and he has the right to decide what happens in Syria. When do they determine their own destiny? We know what the real cause is for these wars. It's the Rothschild banks. All the countries that we hate and we've lined up like dominoes to fight weren't participating in the same central bank system that we have. They were trying to do something else. And we're just sucked into another banker's war because we're stuck in the second dimension. It's good guys, bad guys, good guys, bad guys. It's a quantum universe. Good guys are bad guys are good guys. Can't help it. It's the existence of the world. It's a quantum universe. So these rebels pledge allegiance to Al-Qaeda's new leader, the replacement, they say, for Osama bin Laden, who was really dead anyway in 2001. But like the state can do, in Goebbels' handbook, it is the absolute right of the state to supervise the formation of public opinion. So we said Osama bin Laden was alive. We said we killed him. We said the Abbottabad raid happened, and we killed everyone who was a witness anyway, so no one can contradict us in any way, shape, or form, because all the SEALs are dead. And the other SEALs know better. You got to get in a helicopter someday, boy. You You want to crash and burn? Or you keep your mouth shut? We monitor all your conversations. We know everything. And what's one of the big reasons they monitor these conversations? You ever wonder why your elected representatives don't do anything? It's because they have a book like this on all of them from all the NSA intercepts. Okay, you told your wife you were at this convention. We got pictures of you in the hotel room. J. Edgar Hoover had to do it the hard way. He had to crawl under the bed. These guys can do it the easy way. And the big thing about PRISM don't mean shit. You're talking on the phone, who cares? It's no big deal. You got nothing to hide anyway. You want to listen? You'll be bored out of your tree. They can turn on your TV, watch you through it. Your cable system access with these new TVs with cameras inside, watch everything you do in your house. Your whole home is wired for sound. They can turn it on anytime, any place, any way. And you pay for it. Mr. Goebbels? Stupid. We give them stupid because we give them free tickets. We pay for these guys to spy on us. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't have cable TV, by the way. Cut that out a long time ago. Save a lot of money. And they have to work harder to spy on me. One of the stories we were covering, of course, was the weather story where the storm chasers were killed in that terrible event. These are our storm chasers in better days. Tim Samaras, 55, his son Paul, 24, Carl Young, 45, died in the storm. One of the things about this article that's really, really interesting is they talk at the very beginning on, we're going to die, we're going to die, the tragic last words. So I thought he was talking on the telephone to somebody when I first looked at this. No, he was heard on the Oklahoma Highway Patrol radio. Well, when did National Geographic get a Oklahoma Highway Patrol radio? So I'm starting to think that, maybe these boys are part of a spook agency. Here's our man in the field. Now those are cameras that I recognize. This is his vehicle, crushed up and mangled. Was reduced in size, they say, 30% or so. And of course, you got the classic 11 here, 57 to give us a 12, a 33, like 33-degree Freemasons, channel 4, 411 perhaps. The boys in the band. Their big truck. The 2.6 mile wide storm. And we showed you a version of this before, the magical mystery truck where they carry all their equipment. That's some dashboard device there, man. The latest in everything high tech. And this is the baby. This is supposed to be the camera. Or is it just a cover story for a Tesla device to steer storms? One of the big words they use in this article is they were attempting to parallel the storm. They always parallel the storm, and they were worried they got caught in a new vortex. Or by paralleling the storm with this device, the mother of all cameras, were they actually steering the storm? Or devices could have been put in, perhaps. Less detailed storm chasers survived. It was a vicious storm, did a lot of damage. National Geographic Society gave 18 grants to our people. Or is it just a front for a CIA operation? One of the other people who does this was quoted in the Washington Post. David Hoadley said, why didn't they use a telephoto lens? That's what they're made for. Longtime storm chaser. Been in the business 57 years and pursued the El Reno Twister. And he lives in Falls Church, Virginia. Many, many CIA operations have happened out of Falls Church, Virginia. A certain Major Hassan came from Falls Church, Virginia. A certain Beltway sniper operated in Falls Church, Virginia. So that one sets off alarm bells for me that we're dealing with a massive intelligence operation to use weather warfare. Well, I was just scooting around on an old computer, playing around and stuff like that. You know, I found an old article from 2010 when Russia was under the effects of weather warfare. And Russian scholar warns of secret U.S. climate change weapon. Everybody knows, except the people who are stupid, because they cannot get their brains to advance. They're stuck in a rut that they can never get out. The world's technology ended in 1852, and I can never advance into the next century. But unfortunately, we have advanced into the next century. 5-year-old child who survived this tornado was killed later in Jesseville, Arkansas, chewed up by a dog at a friend's house. So sometimes you just can't escape the clutches of death. G8 protests. There was a little scrapping in London before this happened. A lot of these guys are probably paid by, just to be the typical black hooded, black clothed opposition. The police used chainsaws to break into some of the places they were hanging out in. They used the kettling technique, good for rounding up the Jews, to practice. We did that here in Toronto. So a lot of these people are anti-capitalism people. They just say that capitalism is the whole problem. No, it's not. It's greed. Greed is the problem. If you're left-wingers, like Marx's book was called Das Kapital. So that's not the problem. Oop, set off the wrong explosive on my computer. It's a propaganda war. There's only one way to win the propaganda war. You have to change the channel. Get away from the predictive programming, the mind control that they use on you. Free your mind and go somewhere else. We offer you a nice little place to come and hibernate, to rise up to the third, fourth, and if we get into the fifth dimension of thinking and thought. So we no longer have to be stupid and be vassals to the control of information of the state. Stephen Harper slammed the malevolent regimes when he spoke in the British Parliament. He's the first Prime Minister to speak, I think, since World War II or something from Canada in the British Parliament, where he says, we have to go after Iran and their nuclear weapons program. We have to go after Assad. He must go. Syria cannot be allowed to be a safe haven for terrorists, but he did stop short of advocating arming the rebels. Canada won't participate. So we were kind of centered out of a video conference they had with the other leaders. The French, the Italians, the British, the Americans, the Germans, they were part of the conference. Putin, well, he was way out there. Harper wasn't included because he didn't want to give them rocket launchers. Maybe he's learning a little something. Talked about the murder of drummer Rigby and the foil terror plot in Canada that was pretty much just made up to get a law passed through Parliament. See, it's just the same thing happened in that Hitler's Bodyguard series. The police lie, make something up, charge somebody with something, just as something crucial is going through the Reichstag, the Parliament. Yes, 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 panic, everyone run in a circle. More laws, more power. We're afraid, terror. We fall for it every time. Then we have to push this Canada-European Union free trade deal. The whole concept of free trade is that's why we're having this, like, the engine stalling in the global economy. It's because of free trade. So there's no agreement about that in the G8 meeting. They did make a statement. Maybe they had some pictures of Mr. Putin, although he's got a, circus caliber gymnast since he left his wife. Maybe they got a few extra pictures to sweeten the pot or something like that to get him to acquiesce. Who knows? Because everybody's spying on everybody. But he feels this trade deal is our hope, and he's worried the Americans will get at it first. So it's like you got a glass of poison or something like that, right? You don't want to drink it, but you're afraid the Americans will get it first, so down the hatch. If America wants to go down with Europe, stupid! Free trade is taking the bulkheads out of the ship before it sinks. It sinks faster and harder. You need compartmentalization. One of the big things in this deal they're worried about is government procurement, because you won't be able to buy things from local companies. It means you starve. Patent protection for pharmaceuticals. No herbals. Gotta have some kind of drug from Big Pharma so that I can fall asleep. And beef. Well, where is the beef? So then they get into a debate about, that Assad's got thugs. So we're hiring Al-Qaeda thugs. Our thugs are better than their thugs. But they all do the same thing. That's where it's the quantum universe. I hire killers to rape and slaughter and destroy your people. The army from Syria comes in, rapes, slaughters, kills, and murders those people. Nobody's right. I was listening to the BBC on the weekend. They had a little thing, and it's nice to have some free speech, where they talked about the Mau Mau rebellion in one of the British colonies in Africa. And after this rebellion, there was like a terror event, and they went after all the people. They rounded up thousands and thousands of people, put them in concentration camps in the British Empire. My God. And the women were violated with sticks covered in caustic chemicals and chili powder. The woman they interviewed lost her child because of that. That's that bulwark of democracy, Great Britain. But they were just some niggers in Africa. Nobody cared about them. British intelligence spied on the G20 officials, says London newspaper, in 2009. So my comment is, with friends like that, who needs enemies? There used to be a saying when they brought in some of these spying laws way back. They said, gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail. And you know what? You're quite correct. They don't. I meet you face up. I don't need to read your mail. If you lied to me, I'll figure it out sooner or later. I don't need to read your mail. I can just promise you, if you come with evil intent to harm my country or my land, we'll flatten you so flippin' hard you won't know what hit you. The old walk softly and carry a big stick thing. But all the spying is very detrimental. Someone gave me a good joke about Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper was touring the countryside in his chauffeur-driven limousine. A donkey jumps into the road, they hit it full on, and the car comes to a stop. Harper says to his chauffeur, you get out and check, you were driving. The chauffeur gets out, reports the animal is dead. You have to be responsible for your actions. You were driving, go tell the farmer, says Stephen Harper. Hours later, the chauffeur returns, totally plastered, hair ruffled with a big grin on his face. My God, what happened to you? Asks Harper. The chauffeur replies, when I got there, the farmer opened his best bottle of whiskey, the wife gave me a slap-up meal, and the daughter took me upstairs and made love to me. What on earth did you say to them? Harper said. I knocked on the door, and when it was answered, I said to them, I'm Stephen Harper's chauffeur, and I've just killed the jackass. You can laugh, you. Did the CIA actually show the NSA documents to Ed Snowden? More than likely. Is he a hero? Yes. Was he a hero for a reason? Perhaps. What could that reason be? It's to change the channel. They got caught. They killed Ambassador Stevens. They murdered him. They're taking over the pages of the press and the media to control public opinion, so you will no longer look that the dirtball killed his own ambassador with his dykstress Hillary Clinton, who's just been hustled off the field. They killed him. They killed SEAL Team 6. They murdered them because they knew the truth. They killed people in their little false flag terror operations in the United States. Compliments of the Department of Homeland Security. DHS admits Boston training drill backpack exercise was their operation. get a picture with that one? Oh, maybe he's not coming up. No worries. The best article that I found on it was from the Boston Globe. It's chilling. Absolutely chilling. They say very, very clearly they had an exercise. Operation Urban Shield trains dozens of detectives to work together. The terrorist group was supposed to be free America citizens. Well, why would free American citizens need to be a terrorist group? They wouldn't be a terrorist group unless it was to Nazis. They'd be freedom fighters, a homegrown cadre of militiamen. The logo would be a metal skull wearing Uncle Sam hat. The same thing like those private contractors were wearing that got caught on the camera. That's why they couldn't get away with it. They had to come up with an explanation. They got a $200,000 Homeland Security grant to pull this off. That's not enough to make an operation like that. That's peanuts. That's enough to print papers and have a couple people do a few seminars or something like that. There's no way you paid all those police with $200,000 to run a thing like this. It was supposed to be a 24-hour exercise, large-scale emergencies, toxic spills, natural disasters, but this one was actually a bombing with bombs supposed to be placed at Faneuil Hall, Seaport District, in other towns, spreading raves of panic and fear. They behaved like movie producers, recruiting students from Northeastern University and Boston Police Academy to play the parts of terrorists and witnesses. So there were actors. They scouted warehouses, homes around Chelsea and Winthrop to be used as safe houses. Half a dozen of the members of Free American Citizens gauged the police in a bomb scare, planted hoax devices to watch the bomb squad, then did it later with real devices. Eerie similarities to the real Boston bombing blamed on the Tsarnaev brothers. They tracked down footage of the bombers from a street camera and phones of witnesses. Intelligence analysis says the terrorists might threaten the city. They flee after them when they take stolen cars, and the body of one of the terrorists is found near a stolen car, dead from a self-inflicted wound. How eerily similar to the real deal. A guy who was on Coast to Coast, Doug Hageman, he was given the real roasting, pulled over by the cops, given a hell of a treat for coming up and talking on a talk circuit that involves three big events facing the United States: collapse of the US dollar, World War III, and attack against Christianity. So he's pulled over, put up against the wall, taken down like he's some kind of terrorist to try to shut him up and scare him. He didn't do it. And here's my Phil Graham thing, and I guess this is where, how many minutes we got there? 2. Okay, we'll do this quickly. So they get this information that was never presented to the 9/11 Commission. Former Senator Bob Graham accused the FBI in court papers of having impeded Congress's joint inquiry on 9/11 about the Florida connection. We talked about that, how they set these people up at the airport, got them places to live. The FBI's failure to call to the joint inquiry the documents of many connections between the Saudis living in the United States and individuals associated with the terrorist attacks. It interfered with the inquiry's ability to complete its mission. The FBI kept the 9/11 Commission in the dark. Co-chairman Thomas Keane, Lee Hamilton, and executive director Phil Zelikow all told them they were unaware of the FBI Sarasota investigation. Graham stated the deputy FBI director Sean Joyce, the bureau's second in command, personally intervened to block him from speaking with the special agent in charge of the Sarasota investigation. Quote unquote, "I am troubled by what appears to me to be a persistent effort by the FBI to conceal from the American people information concerning possible Saudi support of the September 11 attacks," Florida's former governor said. And you got to wonder why you got to change the channel? Because all our leaders at the highest level seem to be corrupt traitors, usurping the United States from the republic it is and turning it into the Fourth Reich. And you give them the arsenal of democracy with its own weapons, because we are so stupid to give them the free tickets and the salaries for this bear's work. You can change that. You can change the channel. You can come to that channel. We do our best here. We hope it's going to be a quiet weekend, 621, 622, but If anything goes down, you know where you heard it first. Here. So see you again, same that time, same that channel next week. Thursday. Thanks for coming out. Good night.